Hi there, we're going to talk just briefly today about using Photoshop and using the Revolve function within Photoshop 3D to make some objects. Like this lamp base here, also like this lampshade here. If you want to make something like this, it's pretty easy to build this within Photoshop. Also, over here's a light fixture I needed to build, so I built this also by revolving it within Photoshop. To save some memory, I'm going to quit out of my Dimension program and go back over to Photoshop. So in Photoshop, what I have here is I have my 3D workspace set up, just so you know that. I also am going to make a new layer in my Layers panel. Whoops. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you that previous to bringing the demo here live, I have built a path with my pen tool called Lamp Body. And I'll zoom up on this a little bit so you can see it. It's just using the pen tool to go in there and build a path. It's just a series of anchor points that you know of. I'm more comfortable using the pen tool than I am a paintbrush. So I drew this, and I also put a guide in the middle to kind of build the half size of what I need. And I'm going to revolve this path around this center right axis. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my move tool, I'm going to click here, and I've got my path picked. I'm just going to go up under 3D, and I'm going to do a 3D extrusion from selected path. And that's just going to go ahead and give me this extrusion right here. Now, here's the first key thing you got to know. You got to change the extrusion depth over here in Properties to 0. Next thing you want to do is I'm going to go up in the Properties panel, and I'm going to click on this little icon up here in Properties that says Deform. What you need to do is double check the extrusion depth is 0. And we're going to come down here in Bend, and I'm going to bend this around the x-axis 360 degrees. Now, right now, it doesn't look like much over here in the preview. This is the top view of it. But the key thing is to go back to the Properties panel, and there's a little proxy reference points here that determines where that revolve or that deformation is looking at what axis to revolve around. So right now it's just revolving around the center axis point. I'm going to pick the right middle point. And that gives me my lamp face kind of shape. Now here's the cool thing. I noticed this little protrusion up here, and I don't like that. So what I can do is I don't have to start over. What I need to do is I need to get back to Properties, and there's a little star up here that will say Mesh, and when I'm in that mode, I can click Edit Source. Let me zoom up on this path here a little bit, and we're going to get rid of these anchor points up here at the top. Now let me show you a great little trick here. This is called a Layer to PSB file when you go into edit the shape. You still have your original view over here of the lamp base. What I want to do is see them both at the same time. So I'm going to go to Window, Arrange, Tile 2 up vertically. Now I'm going to collapse a couple of panels over here so you can see what's going on. I'm going to come over here on my PSB file. I'm going to take my direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on the path. So now I can see all the anchor points. So what I want to do is I can adjust the anchor points now. So one thing I could do is I can drag this anchor point down and around and so on and so forth. But what I want to do in this point is I don't even want this protrusion up here. So I'm going to go to my pen tool, and I'm going to pick delete anchor point pen tool, and I'm going to hover over this anchor point, and I'm going to go blip and blip. Whoops, I don't want that one deleted, sorry. How about this one? Now what I can do is take my direct select tool and just bring this anchor point down. I'm going to hold the shift key to constrain it on the axis. You could use your cursor arrow keys also to get this the way you want. And I'm going to let up. Now here's the key thing. Once you've made a change over here, it won't update over here on the actual revolved object until you save this PSB file. Pretty slick, hey? So you have a live update after you save if you want to change anything over here. So for instance, let's just say I come over here and I click on this anchor point here. I have my handles. I'm going to hold down my Alt or Option key so I can move this one handle independent of the other one. And I'll hold down the Shift key, we'll say, to keep it horizontal, and I'll bring it out to here. And I'll say save. So I just want you to know that you can draw a path and then revolve it. So let's say I want to undo that. I don't like that. I'm just going to go back and save that. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this PSB look or view. So I'm back here. Now also, before the demo started, I made another path for like a lampshade. I'm going to make a new layer to create and revolve the object on this layer right here. So let me hide this. So now let's just do our procedure here. We've got the layer picked with the path on it. I'm going to go up here to 3D extrusion from path. Remember, we have to change the extrusion depth and properties to 0. Then we're going to click on the deform. Then we're going to change the horizontal angle on the x-axis to bend 360. Now notice you can do partials. So if you want half a cone or half a shape or something like this so it's hollow inside, you can do that. So let me go over here. I'll complete 360. It looks kind of strange, but maybe that's something I might want to have. In fact, you should go up here and play with this deformation axis proxy just to see, curiosity, what kind of things are being made here. So I'm going to go to the middle right deformation axis proxy point. That gives me my lampshade look. Remember, if I wanted to edit it, I can go to Properties, I can go to Mesh, I can go to Edit Source, and I can go in there and work with that. So let's just go back, and I'll close out this PSB window here. But I like that lampshade. Now, this lampshade object is on this specific layer. So I'm going to go to 3D, export this layer out as an OBJ file for dimension. I'm going to come over and I'll make a new folder called lamp. And I'm going to save this in here. I'll go up here. And we'll name this lamp shade. Save. Now I'm going to go to this layer because that contains my lamp base, and I'm going to go up to 3D, export 3D layer, OBJ file, remember that, OK, and just change this to my lamp base for the name. Nothing to it. Click Save. Now, I'm going to quit out of Photoshop, and I'll save this, just for insurance purposes. Let me go back here to dimension. Let me open up a brand new dimension file. And I'm just going to import in those two objects. So Command or Control I. And I'll bring in lamp, but I'm going to bring in the base first. It shows you a little icon at the bottom that this is off camera. So what I do is I go to the position panel over here on the right within the scene panel, and I zero out my positions to bring it into view. Enter. There we go. Also, before I do anything, I always make a bookmark for this default view. I also at this point take 2 seconds and go to Camera, Camera View, Top, make this a new view. In fact, I'm hoping that Dimension eventually gives me a way to keep these saved so I don't have to create them every time. And a front view. There. Let me go back to default. So we've got this here. So let's just go ahead and go Command or Control I to bring in the lampshade. It's off camera, so position 0. And I can just take my widget and move it up. So let me see if I want to see it from the top. And I want to see it from the front. I can hold down some keys here and navigate a little bit. And there's my lamp. So again, you can just start dragging materials over on top of it. So I just want you to know, here's a quick way to go into Photoshop using the pen tool, draw out a shape, half of a shape, and then revolve it, and save it out as an OBJ file and bring it into Adobe Dimension. I hope this does some good for you. You have a great day.